Hey folks, Coach Simmons here, and today we're going to get into legal precedents. Something I know about, former paralegal for General Motors, but we're going to talk about this after the bumper. Follow me. So on the eve of the first home game of the Washington State football season, Washington State football joined Oregon State University in a legal complaint against Pac-12, its commissioner, over the conference realignment. Washington State, Oregon State, and the university presidents filed a complaint Friday in the Whitman County Superior Court. The two schools will be remaining members of the Pac-12 after this year, as other teams in the conference are left for the Big Ten, Big 12, and ACC. USC and UCLA announced June 2022 they were leaving for the Big Ten at the conclusion of the media rights deal with ESPN and Fox. Other schools jumped into different conferences earlier this summer. The suit states that the conference bylaws indicate that no member shall deliver a notice of withdrawal to the conference in the period beginning July 24, 2011 and ending August 1st, 2024, because the early withdrawal would cause substantial irreparable harm to the conference, which that is 100% true. Washington State and Oregon State contend that if a member violates the clause, the member's representative to the Pac-12 Board of Directors automatically shall cease to be a member of the Pac-12 Board of Directors and cease to have right to vote on any matter before the Pac-12 Board of Directors. The contention is that by announcing withdrawal from the conference, then continuing to vote on conference matters presents a conflict of interest. The suit says that the 10 schools still in the Pac-12 for this season are now motivated to dissolve the Pac-12, against which their new conferences will now otherwise compete beginning next year. According to the suit, the Pac-12 has allowed remaining schools to retain their board seats and continue to vote on board matters. The conference plans to hold a meeting September 13th where board representatives are supposed to discuss and vote on matters including the employee retention plan and go forward approach. The suit says Commissioner called a meeting even after Washington State President Kirk Schultz refused to call a meeting that would violate the bylaws. Washington State and Oregon State say because they're the only schools not to announce an intent to withdraw, they have no option but to file suit to prevent the conference from allowing the departing members to purport to govern the Pac-12 and inflict irreparable damage to Washington State and Oregon State in the conference. According to the complaint, Washington State and Oregon State remain committed to exploring ways to preserve the Pac-12 while the departing members are incentivized to dissolve it. If the Pac-12 dissolves, its remaining assets and property will be distributed among all 12 members of the conference. Washington State and Oregon State are asking the judge to prohibit the presidents and chancellors of schools who said they're leaving the conference to participate in any Pac-12 conference votes. President Schultz is asking for the court's urgent intervention. Quote, I respectfully request the court issue the requested temporary restraining order in order to prevent the imminent and existential threat to the Pac-12 conference and the interests of Washington State University. The hearing is set for Monday morning in Whitman County Superior Court. So what does that all mean? It comes down to it, people. It means something very simple. All the history of the Pac-12, all the assets, all the video footage, everything from the Pac-12 history, financial, going forward, will be divided amongst the 12 schools. But according to the contracts they signed, The schools that announce they're leaving have no say in dividing up that revenue or those media libraries, as you will. So also hidden agenda, the hidden meaning behind all this. Washington State and Oregon State, they have not announced they're leaving yet because they're still trying to save the Pac-12 conference. Which means if they have the financial means, hold up. Also, it can mean something very. I'm not really going to say this is something that's brought up, but I pretty much guarantee it was thought of. Each conference has an exit fee. So if you have the Pac-12 and you're the last two teams standing, and let's say you decide to keep the Pac-12 open next year, some way, somehow, they might seek, I believe it's 18 to 34 million, one of those two numbers, of exit fees from all the schools. Remember the big deal that UCLA had before? They were operating in the red. They couldn't afford the exit fee. They had to get approval by the California legislature to pay the exit fee. Well, now you have all the schools, all 10 leaving. So whatever that number is for the exit fee for the Pac-12, you best believe Washington State and Oregon State, the last two, are going to try to get that. So let's say it is 18 million. Let's call it 20 million. Meet in the middle. $20 million per school. You don't think Washington State and Oregon State are going to try to get $200 million for them being left out in the cold? Also, the fact is, if they really are truly going to try to save the Pac-12 conference, maybe they're going to start trying to poach. And that $200 million purse, if you will help pay off the stuff for San Diego State, Boise State. They want to bring up schools who used to be in the Pac-12 before. You look at the Pac-12's history. Now, we can dig into this deep if we want to. We can look into the fact that Washington State and Oregon State are two of the smallest budgeted schools in the conference with a revenue of $87 million and $82 million, respectively. We can look into the fact that Washington State and Oregon State, man, are the only two non-AAU members of the conference. We can look into that. We also look into the fact that the history of the conference is no school has left the Pac-12 since its founding as an AAWU in 1959. The two members of the PCC, Pacific Coast Conference, were not invited to join were University of Idaho in Moscow and University of Montana in Missoula. Would it be feasible to bring those schools up? Or would it be feasible to bring schools who are, quote unquote, former affiliate members? I say affiliate members, these are schools that had a Pac-12 sport but left. Schools like Cal State, University of Fresno, Fresno State. Boise State was a former affiliate member. Gonzaga was a former affiliate member for baseball. Portland State, Utah State, San Jose State. With these schools would not bring in the name recognition, but they definitely will bring in the TV markets. There you go. That's the way to put that. They wouldn't bring in the numbers, but they bring in the TV markets, especially bringing in Salt Lake City with Utah State, which will replace Utah. San Jose bringing in that Bay Area market. Gonzaga bringing in the Seattle market. Fresno as well, bringing in the Bay. Boise bringing in competitive football. I'm not sure if they want to bring in Idaho or bring in Montana back up to football. I think Montana left in 1950, I believe. But you definitely want to look at If they can get a hold of those exit fees from those 10 schools, which I believe may be the whole crux of this lawsuit, would it be something to consider? Even bringing the Pac-12 as a lesser conference, even bringing the Pac-12 as a app-only conference, when we know for a fact ESPN is trying to go to an app-only deal. Would that be a big deal? May that be something you would look forward to? But for pity's sake, they may look forward. It's Coach Simmons. Talk to y'all later. Have a good day.